Good morning. I see oh, Maggie, you sent sunshines. Yes, you do. K squared, I don't see the square. Morning, Harry and Carly throwing it down. All right. How are we doing today? I find... Oh, hi, Luke. I saw an ironic pic of a solar plant in the shape of a panda in China. I nearly died thinking of your reaction, right? Like, hey, Logan. All right. I guess we've got enough on here, and I hate to be the person. Oh, sorry. Watch. Oh, guys, tell Trevor to get on the daggone broadcast. Oh, what is the matter with him? All right, I need to get... I don't know why my Mac is not showing me our live broadcast. So I want to talk to you guys. Oh, good, here I am. I want to talk to you guys about important stuff, things that I have done, things that I'm super proud of, things I can't believe I did. So you all now have okay, you guys now have a mock exam in your AP Central website that I assigned. Like, I went and I did it, and this is the mock exam that Advanced Kentucky is hosting, and I assigned it for May the 1st, and it has a 45-minute limit. I don't know why it says 45 minutes, but that's what they told me to give y'all, so that's what I gave you. What I can tell you is time is your enemy on the AP exam. I know we've discussed that a lot, but I cannot say it enough. And I mean, like, you guys have never been here before, right? So you don't understand. It's kind of like when you find your wedding dress and everybody's like, you'll just know. When you put it on, you'll just know. And then I remember thinking, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard ever. Like, that sounds like somebody that likes, I don't know, poetry would say. And then, I know, Caleb. And then you put your wedding dress on and you're like, oh, this is the one. Oh my gosh. I know. Like, my wedding dress was platinum with white. I think Ace just killed a hornet with a towel. Be sure it's dead. Oh, God. Oh, did it fly out of the thing? Oh, anyway. Can't worry about that now. I gotta worry about my other kids, right? Sorry, I digressed. It was platinum, and it had white pearls, and my mother cried, and she said, you can only wear white to your first wedding, Stephanie. And I was like, I'm only gonna have one wedding, and I'm gonna wear platinum to mine. So, I did it. Like, sorry, I digressed. So you don't know that time is your enemy until you're in it. And then you're like, oh, F word, time is my enemy. And so that's what all of this is all about is, I guess, because we're giving you 2 FRQs and we're only going to give you 45 minutes to do them. Of course, there's no uploading time either.
Check for the outside, but I pulled a stinger by accident.
You did what?
I pulled out a bee stinger by accident.
Oh, it was a bee?
Yeah, I got stuck on the towel.
Okay, it's all right. So, sorry, I'm trying to do this parenting thing and do this teaching thing at the same time. It's a little complex. So, time. So, you're going to get on there. You've got 45 minutes. They said only give you 40 minutes, but it's not possible on AP Central. And I didn't choose you have to be on at 11 o'clock. Like, I tried to be on at 11 o'clock because that's what time that we have gotten accustomed to being on. But then that's not the way it worked out. So I think you can be on it at any time on May the 1st. And we're going to start grading them on May the 4th. and get feedback. I haven't done anything else with it other than that. And these are the 2 questions that AP Central, not AP Central, Advanced Kentucky has picked as like great representations of what you may need to be ready to do. So I got that for today. I couldn't believe it. I got this email and I was like, I'm not gonna be able to do this. I'm not gonna be able to do this. And then I did it. And so yay me. I was talking to somebody who is super special to me this morning, and I was telling them how I feel like NTI has taken away all the things that makes me an effective teacher, and it's taken away all of my strengths. Like, I feel like I need to get my hands on you, and the this that we do, I feel like that's all my strength. And then the this that I don't do well is like all of my weaknesses. So I feel like this has unearthed all of my weaknesses and taken away all of my strengths. So we got a win today, a win for us. So I'm so happy for you guys because it makes me very anxious to know that you all are depending on me not to suck. And so now I'm depending on you not to suck. I do have a story to tell you if y'all want. So last time we talked, I told y'all that I was struggling a little bit with my anxiety, and I was pretty anxious, and so it continued. And I have vivid dreams, and I don't know if anybody else has vivid dreams. We don't need to live chat about our vivid dreams, but if you do, you understand what I'm talking about when I say I very rarely get like good restful sleep. I typically wake up and I've done just as much work in my sleep as I did during the day. So I'd started my day off having like terrible dreams, and I felt like, oh, CT, thank you. Like in my dreams, Chad had been having special handshaking time with another person, and like this whole big thing. It was terrible, and so then I was very anxious, and then my boss at the health park sent me like this aloof text message, and I didn't know like what he was talking about, and I had just launched that video on the health park website where like everybody was seeing me shake my butt for money, and that was very stressful and made me kind of anxious. And so after we got done talking, and I don't know if y'all remember, but I was telling Chad, I was like, I've got sweat running down my back, like that's super sexy, right? I just couldn't turn it off. So I went for a walk, and there's this man that he doesn't live in Springbank. He lives in like past the condos. There's like a little community that has like Springbank in the name, but they're not Springbank. And he has this little like concrete deer statue, and Rosie loves it. Bye, babe. Rosie loves it so much. And so it's so funny. I've taken pictures of Rosie with it. I think I've put it on Strava, where she thinks that you quit telling CT to be nice. She's like playing with the deer, and she's like trying to sniff at the deer. And I've just really wanted to tell these people that live in this house like how much my dog enjoys their little statue. And if they ever wondered, should they put their statue out there, the answer is a resounding yes. And so I'm talking to my father-in-law on my jawbones, and it's so cool because you don't have to have your phone anywhere on you, and you can just be talking and walking, and your hands are free, and you can be alert, and you can hear everything. It's really, really cool. And so this door flies open at this house, and I was like, oh my gosh, here's my opportunity to thank this man or woman. I've seen them both. They're like 65 to 70, I think. The man is for sure. The woman didn't look that old. And the door flies open, and my eyes light up, and I was like, oh, good. I'm going to be able to show like my gratitude to somebody else. And that always helps when you tell somebody else, like, thank you, or something you did helped me, like that helps. And so the door flies open, and this man starts screaming at me. about Rosie P, like screaming. And I was so taken aback by everything that was happening. It was happening all so fast. I just stopped. I mean, his yard is like for real, maybe 3 foot wide, and it just like makes a little circle. Like a little, like it's just right there. As soon as you turn into that neighborhood, it's just that little bit right there. I mean, it's the smallest little patch of grass ever. And I could not imagine anybody screaming, well, first of all, at me, and second of all, about the most precious little bundle of joy that has ever pranced around like a baby goat on this planet. And so I said, are you serious? And he screamed, yeah, I'm serious. Your dog is peeing in my yard. And I was like, it's dog pee. And he was like, but when she pees in the yard, then other dogs pee in the yard, and then I'm going to get a brown spot, and I don't want your dog peeing in my yard. And I was like, and I'm thinking to myself, she's on a leash. We're abiding by the leash law. I pick up her poop. Like this cannot really be the man that I wanted to thank and to be so kind to. And so I snapped and I started screaming back, I cannot believe that you are screaming at me about dog pee. I am an AP science teacher and I'm so stressed right now. I'm having anxiety issues and I just did my best to talk to my sweet little freshman about APES science over the daggone computer, and I thought I would take a break and I would get some stress relief and I would walk my dog, my precious little dog, and instead you came out here and you screamed at me about dog pee. And he goes, it's gonna mess up my yard. And I said, nobody cares about your yard, sir. We're in the middle of a daggone pandemic. People are dying. And you're talking about dog pee. I am doing my best to hold on and educate these children through a pandemic. And you are screaming at me about dog pee. And he was like, oh, you don't get it. And I said, you're right, I don't get it. I don't think anybody would get this. Like, I wanted to thank you. I could not wait to meet you. And instead you turned out to be a terrible person. And then he was like, I'm not screaming at you. I was like, yes, you are. I think I know what screaming is like. And then I said, and you know what else I think I find interesting about this whole thing? You waited until I was walking without my husband to come out here and scream at me. I think that's pretty interesting. You know, sir, where I come from, gentlemen don't jump out and scream at ladies. No, sir. If a man has an issue with somebody, he takes it up with the other man in the situation. And I would think you being an elderly man, you would know better. And he went, I didn't even know you had a husband. I was like, oh, okay. So you're just randomly waiting by your window for single ladies to walk by with their tiny little dogs to scream at? That's now your defense? And he went, oh, it's just your dog is peeing in my yard. And I was like, nobody cares about your dog peeing in a pandemic. And so we left. I walked off. And I tried to like get it all together, but like I had all this built up inside of me. And so I tried to walk it off because I knew one thing. I knew I did not want to come home and let Chad Skimehorn see me upset. So I walked and I prayed about it, and I kept like tears just kept streaming down my face, and I thought, you gotta get this together. So I finally thought, okay, I got it all together, and I walked home, and Chad was in the kitchen, and I shut the door, and he goes, hey babe, what's up? And I took one look at him, and I went, some man just screamed at me about dog pee. And he comes running, and he hugs me, and he goes, oh my gosh, what? I was like, the man just screamed at me. He was bald and he had a mustache. And he was so mean. And then he couldn't make him understand that it's a pandemic and it's just a dog pee. No. And so he just holding me. And he was like, all right, all right, all right. So he said, I tell you what. He said, you just don't worry about it. He said, I'm going to go have a talk with the mean man about talking to you, making you cry. And I'll be back. And I was like, oh, it's okay. It's okay. And then about that time, Ace walks in, and Ace is like, Mom, what's wrong? And Chad says, well, some mean man screamed at your mama, and I'm going to go tell him he's not allowed to scream at your mama. And Ace goes and gets his hockey stick and says, let's go talk to him. And Chad says, no, son. When you have a wife, if somebody makes her cry, then you can go talk to him. But right now, I need you to stay home, stay with your mother, take care of your mother, and I'm going to go talk to the man. So Chad went down, talked to the man, and of course the man at this point had put a pistol on his belt buckle, or on his belt, and Chad had a little talk with him, he said, and explained to him that the next words that were to come out of his mouth to me were either to be an apology or nothing at all. And the man said he could not understand why I would be upset. And Chad said, well, she's at home crying because you yelled at her. And he said, I did no such thing. He said, well, either you call my wife a liar or you did what she said you did. And he said, you don't know my wife, but she gets in more trouble for not being able to lie than any one person I have ever met. So I'm going to say you did it. And I'm going to say we're going to do our best to not ever be near you again. But I need you to know if you make my wife cry, I'm gonna be back and we're gonna have another talk. And so that's what happened the rest of my day. So we've not been past the mean man's house again. We're gonna do our best to keep our dog out of his yard. And he is a terrible mean man, and I don't like him very much. All right, so now that you guys have given me a chance to confess, let's talk about something a little less interesting, or more interesting. Maybe I should be positive. And, Luke, I've had a similar incident and get scared anytime. It's terrible, isn't it? Don't be scared, Luke. If you want to, Jack can come have a talk with them. The key is to hit and run. Let your dog pee and poop and get out of the yard as quick as you can. Well, I feel like the whole neighborhood, well, my part of the neighborhood is completely aware of what he has done. And I think some of the other men may be also addressing the man. It's so bad. And look, I love that he loves his yard. But you know what I also feel like he does? I feel like he fertilizes that yard. And I feel like he, maybe is not being very kind to our environment. And if I had right. Good job. Caleb says he's going to run past his yard and pee in it in the morning. Ace is listening. He has had to live with this craziness. Oh, it's making me cry again. So, Bryson says he's never been caught yet.
Do you want her? No.
Oh, no, I do not want her.
Okay. Well, again, then talked about.
He will not get you, Caleb. You're running so fast. Me and my mom were walking my dog, and these people yelled at us for letting him pee on the bush. And the next week, we walked past their house, and they had just brought home a puppy. See? And he was peeing on the stupid bush. Yes. I just don't understand. So here's my thing, guys. You've got to understand that life is things are bigger than whatever is happening in the moment, more than likely. And you just have to be aware that life is bigger, and not to be mean out of no, like, and sometimes I mean, like, there are times when I'm like, I'm in a real bad mood today and somebody might die, and I feel like I should give y'all those opportunities not to die, because sometimes things do get big, and we also have to have grace with other people when they're having a real bad day, and just sometimes we just got to take the licking and keep on ticking. But I mean, he screamed at me, y'all, and I feel like he was a bit surprised when he screamed at me, and I did not back down. I think he thought he was going to come out and bark at me, and I was going to just, take it. And instead, I did not. That's not my nature. See, Kaylee, that's what I told him. I said, sir, if you want a yard where there is no dog able to get in your yard, you got to live somewhere else. Because you're in the city during a pandemic, for Pete's sake. It's crazy. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. Crazy, crazy times. Oh, I also want to talk to y'all real quick before we get started about the governor's going to make an announcement today to the superintendents. And I don't care what he says, and I don't care what, I don't care. If the school year ends tomorrow, if the school year ends next week, ours doesn't. And so I'm going to keep on doing exactly what we're doing. And I don't know that is, oh wait, my grandma's yard is huge and ditch at the bottom. They're in the ditch, so it's the poop ditch now. Kaylee, what do you mean the guy has a point, though? Like, here's the thing. You can't, no, the guy does not have a point. There is not a law against dog pee. Poop, yes, you got to pick up your dog poop, but pee, no. No law against dog pee. As long as your dog's on a leash, they are free reign. So anyway, back to what's going to happen. So regardless if the school year ends or not, I have decided that I'm going to keep on keeping on for you, because your school year doesn't end. I'm going to get up every day, and I'm going to keep... No, baby, I was on the sidewalk. I wasn't in his yard. I was on the sidewalk. Now, dogs on a leash, you clearly cannot make a dog on a leash stay on the sidewalk. Like, yes. Like, dogs pee in grass. So, I was on the sidewalk, and my dog was on the leash. We were within the confines of the law. Bryson, they'll never catch you either. You're super fast. So, I'm going to back to what's about to happen. If the school year ends, the school year ends. And I'm going to keep doing this for you guys. I have started working on Chapter 7. I'm going to get it done. We're going to post it and go through it. You need it. I'm going to do it. It doesn't matter if they're going to pay me or not. I'm going to keep on keeping on. Okay? So, if the school year ends and they say everybody is free, then everybody's free. But I'm gonna keep on working. And I know there's going to be some of y'all that keep on working. I know that there's going to be some of you all that are going to quit, and that's okay. But I also know that this content's going to be on the AP exam. I just feel it in my bones, and we're just going to keep working. So if you want to work with me, and this is only if the governor says keep on keeping on, and we'll come back and we'll make a decision at a later date, then we'll do that too. But what I anticipate happening is the school year ending and everybody quitting. And, and if you got a teacher and they quit teaching because school year's ended, and then that doesn't make them a bad person. So, yes, Logan. I mean, I'm trying to be proactive. Remember, we talked about being proactive. So, the governor is making an announcement to the, people today, I think, about what are we going to do with the school year. And it is possible, because many other states have just ended their school year and said, that's it, you're done. And so, even if they say, that's it, you're done, we're not done. We still have AP exam on May the 18th at 3 o'clock. So, if that happens, I'm going to keep on doing this. And you're going to, I don't know what that means. Says something about your YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. As such, view something. Okay, Kaylee. So, regardless of what happens today, regardless of what you hear, regardless of what anything, remember, me and you and I, we and us, we are in this together, and we have a test on May the 18th. And, well, Logan, I don't know. See, again, you're asking me questions about other classes, and I'm just talking about AP. I do not know what's going to happen. We are just being proactive in AP Environmental, the end. I don't know what your other classes are going to do. I don't know what your other teachers are going to do. I just know I have been following KDE and Bashir and all of that, and there is a possibility we will end this sooner rather than later. And if it does, because you guys have a propensity, we will know this. When will we know this by? I don't know, Gabe. Like I said, I'm trying to stop the questions. He's meeting with superintendents today. So, regardless, yes, Luke, regardless of when and if he makes a decision, I just want you to hear from me first that I am not stopping. But I also want you to understand that other teachers may stop, because we would not be getting paid. So I don't want to, I don't want to, how do you look at an adult and say, we're not going to pay you for your job, and we don't think what you're doing is good, but then you keep going, hopefully you guys are becoming, consumers of the world, and you're seeing multiple sides of a coin, and I can completely, right, well, you're not going to lose. I mean, if you pass the AP exam, you pass the AP exam, and you're going to get those college credits. But I feel like I have to keep going to help ensure that you're going to get that AP credit. This is the only reason why I'm doing this, is to save you guys money. That's it. So, if your other teachers stop, it doesn't make them bad people. If your other teachers keep going, it doesn't make them good people. I'm just saying, if this happens, I don't want you guys, oh no, Kaylee, you are silly. I just want you guys to know that's my plan, is that, the plan is we're going to keep going. You're going to take practice exams. You're going to take mock exams. Y'all, there is no way in the world they're going to give you something you did not earn. So don't say that. Don't say that. You got to earn it. And we're going to earn it. We're going to keep working, and we're going to earn it. So, regardless of what you hear, regardless of what email comes out, or Owensboro Times, or Andy Bashir, or whatever, you got, Skimmy at 11 and Andy at 4. Thanks, Xander. So I know you guys, like me, maybe get a little anxious sometimes, and we need to be sure that we're all in alignment, and that we all know what's gonna to happen. And you have the choice not to take the AP exam, right? Like, they sent you all that information and said you can pull out. But if you want the college credit, you have to demonstrate you have the college knowledge. So Nope, they cannot take the grades in your class. No, ma'am. We have lowered our grading scale to the point that like a 40 is passing, Kaylee. That is absolutely a no-go. There is one way through this tunnel, and it is through this AP exam. So, nope. You're showing your freshmanness right now. You want to earn it. You're smart. You're capable. You want to earn it. All right. So, on that note, let's talk about biofuel because that's some stuff right there. Once again, I've learned a lot this unit about things that I didn't know. Biomass, I just thought biomass and biofuel were the same thing. And that's, that's that. Come to find out, that's not the whole story. It's like Paul Harvey. I don't even know if y'all know Paul Harvey, but there is the rest of the story. So bio, we know, means living, good. And then mass. So anything that has mass and takes up space is matter. So that mass is just like weight, girth, right? So plant materials that we can burn directly as solid fuel or convert into gaseous or liquid biofuels. I don't know if white was the right color for that. Biomass is another indirect form of solar energy. Look, if they ask you a question about biogeochemical cycles, biofuels, fossil fuels, any of this stuff, notice solar is always in your plans, right? They've brought it back in this chapter 1,000 times. Biomass is another indirect form of solar energy because it consists of combustible organic compounds in plant matter produced mainly by photosynthesis. Do you remember 1,000 years ago when we did photosynthesis? 6 CO2 plus 6 H2O yields C6H12O6 plus 6O2, right? And over the yield sign was the word sunlight because it requires solar energy to make that happen. And photosynthesis was part of the carbon cycle, right? And the opposite of photosynthesis, yes, cellular respiration, right? So you just write it backwards. And you have cellular respiration. That's how we build sugar up and break sugar down in order to make energy. Finergy. Solid biomass is burned mostly for the heating and cooking of things, but also for industrial purposes and for generating electricity. So I bring this back. This picture makes me think of air pollution. This picture makes me think of the lesser developed countries that are burning dung for their eating purposes. And so you could pull all of those things in if you were to have to on a test, because remember, they're not going to give you points for things that you can just Google search. So could be wood, could be dung, could be anything. Wood is a renewable resource. I do wish that you guys could have been in the kitchen or in the dining room when I was trying to explain to Chad that wood is a renewable resource. And Chad was like, no, it is not. And I was like, yes, it is. And he was like, no, it is not. And I was like, yes, it is. And he was like, you cannot cut down a tree and make it into paper as fast as you can grow a tree. And I was like, no, but we have so many trees. And one tree makes so much paper. And we are at this point recycling so much paper. Like these tree farms are crazy. Like you can look at that and tell that clearly was planted. So wood is a renewable resource in the United States. But the problem is about 2.7 billion people in the 77 less developed countries face a fuel wood crisis, meaning that they're having to make tough choices. They're not worried about paper. They're worried about like to heat their homes, to purify their water. So they're going out and they're cutting trees. And I know that we've talked about this before, but inevitably they will choose to cut the only tree in the village down to heat the water, to drink it today, understanding that there will be no tree tomorrow to cut down. And all of the like we learned forever ago about transpiration in the water cycle and how the trees do such a good job putting water back into our atmosphere, and how the green belt in Africa, like the water has returned because of this green belt that they're planting in Africa. So we're making strides as far as solutions go. Understand that planting and finding a way to plant trees is usually a great one. One way to deal with this problem is to plant fast-growing trees, shrubs, perennial grasses, and biomass plantations. So this is 150 days old. I am going to tell you right now that that is not a good, solid, sturdy tree, right? Cost an analysis, right? So it's going to grow really fast. This is 180 days old. 30 days later, look at how much it has grown. So the good news is it's really fast growing. The bad news is that would not be a good sturdy tree you would want to climb. I'm going to say that good news is you can cut it down pretty quickly. If you look in this picture, I don't know, but I'm going to assume that those are stumps in between. Now, let's talk about nutrient cycling. So as you're planting the trees, right, the only way for them to grow up is to take the nutrients out of the soil to grow up. So you are depleting the soil, and you may have to use the F word here in your plantation plan. And fertilizers may have to be utilized to keep this going, right? The nitrogen cycle we're talking about, the carbon cycle we're talking about, because this is going to deplete the soil after repeated cycles of growing and harvesting. Check that out, man. I mean, that's kind of cool, kind of crazy, kind of scary. Like, there's something about my orderly nature that likes that you grew all of these trees and then you're able to just cut them down and then you can just grow them again really fast. But that's as long as the ground is fertile. But you can look into the landscape of this picture and you can see that that's what they're doing. The clearing of forests and grasslands for such plantations does destroy or degrade biodiversity. Okay, so every time you see the word biodiversity, yes, that's right. So think about species richness and species evenness. Okay, so richness is what? Yes, it's the different types of species that are present. And then evenness is? Yes, the percentages that they are present. So if you had 4 species and you had 25%, 25%, 25%, 25%, that would be both even and rich. So what they're saying is this takes out the biodiversity because you no longer have species richness and species evenness. And if you know anything about wildlife, you'll know that the tractors and all of that stuff, well, you can't, year after year come back to a nest in these trees. They're cutting them down. So it's going to affect the organisms that can live there. I don't know about water. Like, I don't know if this would be an asset for the water cycle and water purification with fast-growing root systems or not. I'm not sure about that one. So, plant poplar. Okay, so if they use crops for biomass, how do they decide how many crops they use for biomass and how much they use for food? That's a great question, Carly. They decide based on who's the biggest payer, typically. So a farmer just says, I'm either going to be a biomass farmer or I'm going to be a food farmer. And then they go from there. Like here in America, you can't just decide last minute. You either have to say these are biomass crops or these are food crops. And usually big companies, I want to say Dow, but I could be wrong, big companies decide, like, I will pay you to just raise biomass. And remember, in the third worlds, they will come in and they will pay people to take out farms for food to grow biomass, and then it leaves the local people starving so that a few people can get rich. So some plantation tree species such as the European poplar, there you go, Kaylee, and American mesquite are invasive species and can spread from the plantations and take over nearby areas. So I did not know this is a mesquite.
tree, and it has these peas on it, and I had all kinds of questions that I did not take time to find the answers from, like, well, could you eat these peas? Like, could you have the tree and use it for biomass and eat the peas? Like, if you could, that would be great, and I don't know the answer to that question. But this would be an invasive species, but they're not going to talk about an invasive species on the AP exam. That's in Unit 8. We can convert plants and plant waste into biofuels. Ethanol, which is grown from, corn, and biodiesels, which comes from vegetable oil. I didn't know that. We don't have biodiesel, ethanol gas stations around here that I know of. We may have some, and I just don't know about them. So the USA is the biggest producer of liquid biofuel. We get ethanol from corn. And again, I think if you look as you're driving down the highway, you will see those signs, and they are indicative of like what corn is being grown here, those numbers, all those things. Miss Agelhart's husband, I'm sure, could tell us a ton about what those signs are and what they mean. But they are growing them straight for ethanol use. And I saw this picture, and it's a painting, and you all know I'm not very artsy-fartsy, but this just spoke to me. I didn't know, so to me it looks like that those are car tracks, and the scarecrow, is the scarecrow trying to scare us away from doing this, from using corn for something other than food? I don't know. Am I being all emotional? Have I missed you guys so long? I'm like, and then my little freshmen aren't getting their 10 positive touches a day. I don't know, y'all may. Okay, so biofuels have 3 major advantages over gasoline and diesel fuel produced. First, its biofuel crops can be grown throughout much of the world, and thus can help countries reduce their independence or their dependence on imported oil, meaning that, we can cut the legs out from the fossil fuel industry if we grow corn. 2, if these crops, I think that's supposed to be crops, are not used faster than they are replenished by the new plant growth, there's no net increase in CO2 emissions unless existing grasslands or forests are cleared to plant the biofuel crop. So let me kind of unpack this statement. So what they're saying is, say you plant, soybeans. I think you can use soybeans for biofuel. Or corn. Clearly we know corn. So say you plant them, and then come to find out, we don't need this. We're not going to use this. We're not going to buy this. What they're saying is, you can just let it set, and it will continue to photosynthesize, and it'll just die there. And then nitrogen cycle kick in, right? And all of that can go back into the earth, and you can till it up if you so choose to, and just let it set. Instead of with the fossil fuel extraction, there's a huge carbon footprint associated with that. And then 3, I just thought this was a beautiful farm, right? 3 says biofuels are easy to store and transport throughout existing fuel networks and can be used in motor vehicles at little or no additional cost. And now we're talking about engines and their friends, and I don't know much about engines and their friends, but I'm going to say yes, we could convert to biofuels pretty easily. Sure, I'll go with that. The disadvantages. So here we go. Degrading of biodiversity by leading to more clearing of natural forests and grasslands. Anytime you degrade the forest, you cut down the forest and plant a monoculture, there's another one of your words. Remember, that's going to be a bad thing. Farming of biofuels increases soil degradation, erosion, and nutrient leaching. And this is what I was talking to you about with the fast-growing trees. I don't, in my head, I'm thinking, so you cut it down to the stump, but you leave the stump. So I feel like the tree plantation is going to be in a better shape than corn or the beans that we use, or the sugar cane. My knowledge of planting and growing sugar cane is pretty much zero. I don't know that we grow sugar cane in Kentucky, but if we do, I didn't know it. And then nutrient leaching, right? Extraction of the nutrients. 3, push of small farmers off of their lands, which is so sad. I looked at this and I thought, gosh, this could be anywhere USA. I love the diversity of the picture. I love that it's kind of dated. It looks like it's dated. Like this isn't something that just happened today. This is something we've been dealing with for a while. And of course, that lady standing up with that red bandana on her head, she says small farms are worth saving, and I agree. Fair deal for small farms, and that's kind of where we're at, right? The small farmers struggle to compete with those big guys. 4, raising food prices if farmers can make more money by growing corn and other crops to fuel cars rather than feeding livestock and people. And that's kind of where we started this conversation, right? Is how do you decide? Like, do you tell a farmer? It's like the teacher conversation, right? Do you tell a teacher, keep working for no pay because you should? Do you tell a farmer, keep growing crops for food because you should, even though your counterpart is going to be rolling deep because they're growing fuel? It's a tough conversation to have, and it's very easy for us non-farmers to sit there and go, well, yeah, they should grow corn for food because food is important, but where are we putting our importance, guys? Like, that's a tough conversation. 5, growing corn and soybeans in dry climates requires irrigation, and that reduces their water supply. We already know enough about that. 6, processing all of the corn grown in the U.S. into ethanol each year would meet only about 30 days worth of the country's current demand for gasoline. So let's unpack that real quick. So what we're saying is all of the corn in the U.S., if we turn all of the corn into ethanol, we would only have about 30 days worth of the country's current demand. So hopefully you're having this thought, which is, so we're once again going to be dependent on another country to produce ethanol for us. So for us, I feel like that's like out of the frying pan into the fire kind of conversation, just personally. No corn would be left over for food. And I don't know if anybody else did this, but I have such vivid memories of my nanny. And I would eat my corn on the cob like this, and I would call it the typewriter, which is such a dated conversation because you guys don't even know what a typewriter is. But there were these things before computers called typewriters. And then I can also remember looking at Nanny, and I was like, hey, Nanny, I'm going to eat my corn like the little piggies do. Right? And it would just be going everywhere. But it was farm fresh corn that we had picked that day. And it was a joy. It was a joy. A plant that we could use for cellulosic ethanol production is switchgrass. And again, my knowledge of switchgrass was 0. But it sounds promising. You got to be very careful because it sounds promising. It is a tall perennial grass native to North America prairies that grows faster than corn. It's disease resistant. It's drought tolerant. It can be grown without the use of nitrogen fertilizer, and it has a higher net energy yield than corn. So I have the same question you guys have. So why would we ever grow corn again for ethanol? And I don't know the answer to that. Oh, sorry, I've abandoned your all's questions. Okay, let me be still for just a second. So, yes. It's used for seasoning. We eat mesquite chicken. Yes. Okay, I looked it up. Apparently, mesquite peas can be eaten. So that's exciting. Thank you, CT. Mesquite is really often used for smoking meat. Yes, we do have gas stations. It's called E85 or E88. Okay, the E stands for ethanol. That makes sense. And I guess I guess the ethanol is just a separate pump, maybe. Only problem with ethanol is it deteriorates if it doesn't get used. Oh, and so it can disappear engine. Oh, that's scary. Okay. So we grow sorghum cane in Kentucky. Okay, so I wonder if sorghum cane can be used like switchgrass, or is that like sugar cane, sorghum cane? Capitalism, they can grow what they want, yes. It's bad how. Okay. I couldn't even get past the first 10 minutes of the first episode. Stop. It's so bad but good. Okay. Yes! Oh my gosh. I will not tell you my story today, but if you guys remind me, I have a story where I got a speeding ticket and 9 to 5. If you guys remind me, I'll tell you that story sometime. So does corn produce more ethanol than switchgrass? I don't know the answer to that question. If you like if you had an acre of switchgrass, an acre of corn, does the corn produce more ethanol? I don't know the answer to that. Okay. So sorry, I apologize that I wasn't paying attention. Oh gosh, and we're done. So the switchgrass conversation, I think that is something worth you guys investigating. I do want to draw your attention to the bottom right picture. So I'm did a relative deep dive, not a true deep dive, because I wanted to know more about the switchgrass, and if it gets wet, it rots. And so that's the bottom of so like, you know how we do the hay bales? Well, or the hay, is it called a bale if it's in a circle? I don't know. But you know what I'm saying, the big rolls. So that's the tractor, when you pick it up, it rots. And so the top, the bales, it got wet, and oh, there's a bug. I swear there was a bug there. So I know that wet is a problem. Moisture is a problem for switchgrass, and there's got to be other problems, right? So I wanted to see it. So these are all of these. If you just do a light search of switchgrass, these are some of the images that you can see. I know that this picture of the United States and Canada, look at me, geography, it shows all the places that we could grow switchgrass, and that picture on the far left is switchgrass growing, and then the next picture I found is them harvesting switchgrass, but then that is what happens if you don't get it out of the field, evidently almost immediately. And yeah, so basically biomass isn't the solution. I'm not feeling great about it. I'll be honest with you, I'm not feeling great about it. I like food though, and some locations may not be able to afford the transportation of the gas. Maybe it's just kind of widely accepted already. It looks like this process, like, hey, right, biomass isn't the solution with solar and wind. Right, so honest to God, it's looking like we're spending a lot of money on solar and then wind, and the scary thing with the biomass, yes, algae for fuel, absolutely. And I really, I was thinking about this unit and if we were together and what I would be doing. And I think if we were together, I looked it up, switchgrass makes more ethanol than corn per acre. See? I don't know why we're growing corn, y'all. Except for maybe the combines and the tractors, and you're already locked into the corn thing. I don't know. I'm not a corn farmer. Kelp, yes, and kelp is like, talk to the otters, right? We've already talked about that. Kelp is not messing around. And so, yeah, I feel like this may not be the bag. Oh, I know what I was saying. So if we were in school right now, I would be having you guys do a get together with a buddy or a group of y'all, and let's find some crazy options out there that people are really doing that we don't know about. And I think, Luke, you're dead on with the algae. You may want to have that in your back pocket as you prepare to go to the AP exam, that you're current and you are looking up stuff and you are a consumer of the environment and the environmental issues. I think that's going to be your ace in the hole. Hopefully we are continuing to do that together, having these conversations. I hope you guys are noticing that I continue to try to bring all of these interlocking ideas. We're fleshing them out. And as you all are working through those AP units, think about the interconnectivity, because that's going to be your key, is the interconnectivity of it all. So that's, I feel like we did more talking than we did learning, but that's okay. Sometimes that just needs to happen. And I want to just sign off today. In fact, combines cost a lot, and they are already invested in corn. Yeah, no, for sure. Like, combines are super, super expensive. Gas can provide good quality forage grazing animals, provide the opportunity for the rest. And, I assume they can eat the switchgrass. Does the whole 5-year history still apply on this test? Luke, I don't know what you're asking me. If you're asking me, did they write this test 5 years ago? The answer is no. Okay, so APES here is, do we switch grass? Do switch grass instead of corn? We can also feed livestock, reducing. Oh, I like that, Harry. I like that. Like, we need to know environmental news from the past 5 years. Yes. They just wrote these 2 questions. Like, they just wrote them. So I don't look for them to go back and try to dig up something obscure. Honestly, I really think that you guys have the best chance of passing this test that anyone has ever had taking it. I think that we're doing such a good job of deep diving into these concepts that you're going to be able to talk about the interconnectivity, and that's going to be, they're not going to pull, I don't think they're going to pull out some obscure thing and be like, just write me 25 minutes about this obscure thing that you've never heard of. Now, there is going to be something obscure about it that you've never heard of, because that is APES. Like, last year I can't even remember what the dumb name of the animal was, but the dumb name of the animal didn't matter at all. It was all about, did you understand that the biodiversity was decreasing in this environment? But everybody got hung up on the name of this dumb bird. And Luke Taylor, you gave the example of knowing about the one-child policy. Right. So before the pandemic, your AP exam was written 5 years ago. And so that's kind of the idea. That's why, and Luke, that's also why I'm sure some of your chatty groups were talking about COVID-19 being on here, except for they have taken, infectious diseases and all that off the table. So, yes, but you guys already know the one-child policy. I just think it's going to be the interconnectedness of the land and the cycles and the biodiversity. Like, they're just going to expect you guys to be able to pull it all together. And you can't Google that, right? Like, that's in your head, that's in your heart, that's in your, right? So that's why I just keep trying to show you how you can pull in all these other concepts that we're learning as we're learning these. So before this happened, yes, the one-child policy, and I should be able to tell you exactly the year that they stopped doing the one-child policy, but it, yes. And that's it. You're just, for real, they're wanting you to show your AP-ness on this test. And I also worry about you guys. I pray for you guys to be able to upload stuff. Like, that freaks me out a little bit. God, in my evilness, listen, in my sinful evil nature, I want for us to be in a large room and have all of our materials all, and just like us just all just being sinful, cheater, awful, terrible people. And that is just the devil speaking in my ear, and that's my doubt, and those are my fears coming to life. And the reality of the situation is, you've got this. We're going to have this. And you're going to, as soon as I ask this question, you're going to hear I know, right? Well, you do hope they do one about aquatic ecosystems, since we've not covered that yet. That would be bad. So we're going to get through chapter 7 next, and then we're going to do, I think, chapter 11. Those are the things that I want to get through for sure for you before the AP exam. And I just want to end reminding you, it doesn't matter what is announced today or tomorrow, or if nothing is announced, right? Like, we're just being proactive here. It'll be same bat time, same bat channel for us. I have not thought about, have we taken both of the, I haven't even thought, we've taken both of the vocab quizzes, right? So tomorrow we will, we'll lecture over, oh, that's not the right one. We will lecture over 16-6, and tomorrow's Tuesday, Wednesday 16-7, Thursday 16-8, test on Friday is what the 5-day forecast is looking like. So yes, your FRQ was good. Let's hope your FRQ continues to be good. So we'll lecture again tomorrow. Whatever you hear, whatever changes in this world, know that nothing changes for us. Know that I have posted a mock exam for you, and I don't think you can get in it until May 1st. Just know, when you open it, you got 45 minutes, and then you're done. And then you won't ever be able to see it again. That's the way that AP Central has designed it. So if you are the curious cat, remember what happens to the curious cat's tail sometimes. And I would not go clicking around on that, but I did assign it on May the 1st. You should have 2 FRQs. I'm so proud of myself. So, family, I continue to pray for you all. I love you. I miss you. I enjoy our chats. And until tomorrow, right, at 11 o'clock, we will, same bat time, same bat channel. Let's end it.